I took one of the stupid fucking trains.
Oh, here we go.
Are you? Is that code for monorail, or just are you ribbing Jen on trains in general?
A high speed rail from Orlando to Fort Lauderdale last Friday.
How was it?
The death train, as they call it, the Bright Line, because it has killed so many people, because Floridians can't stop trying to run the tracks, not realizing that this train goes faster than other trains and therefore sacrificing their lives. But their blood sacrifice has allowed for a thing that was dreamed since I was a child growing up in Florida. The idea that you could go to the beach in Fort Lauderdale and then 3 hours later be at the door to Disney World. And that is indeed, I did the reverse version. I was in Orlando and I came to Fort Lauderdale. But, I got to say, clean station, new station. Train was very clean and nice. They ran out of the beer I liked after the first one.
Train beer?
Train beer. Well, I think that's the point of it, right? Like, if I'm gonna be on the train, I'm gonna have a couple pops. Like, why else?
Sure.
But I don't know. It was enjoyable watching the scenery go by. It's the same. It's right off of the Turnpike. So for any Floridians listening, you probably already know this, but the Turnpike and I-95 go parallel to each other. And so you can kind of see 95 when you're driving the Turnpike, but it was very reminiscent of a lot of, I've done that trip a lot from Fort Lauderdale to Orlando. And so it was nice.
I bet you weren't able to drink on the way because you weren't on a train.
One of my fond childhood memories, we took the Heartland Flyer from Oklahoma City to Dallas, and my dear Aunt Mildred, my great Aunt Mildred, who was alive at the time, waited for us at her house and ran outside to wave at us while holding a frying pan in her hand. Just this brief image of my 82-year-old great aunt waving at the train. It was a nice moment.
Yeah.
She sounds made up. Mildred doesn't sound like a real name.
Yeah. A lot of my relatives are like that. But no, she was around. She was a thing. She was a thing.
Yeah.
Did she go by Millie or was she Mildred?
She was Mildred. Yeah. And she got a computer at 90.
She's not like a whore, Jen. She's not Millie. She's Mildred.
She was born in probably 1910, I'm guessing. I don't remember the exact dates exactly. She was pretty old by the time I met her, but she got at 90, she got a computer. She'd never known. She'd been married to my Uncle Harold for a long time, and then when he died, she'd never had a bank account. She didn't know how to do any of that. So at 82, she went to the bank, sat down, and went, "I need to know how to bounce checkbook. Can you walk me through this?" And they did it. She was a very matter of fact, get things done kind of lady. Got a computer
in
90.
1910. Did you ever ask her what her first impressions of Hitler were, and if they changed?
Wow.
Funny you should ask that. So, noting that she was a dear old lady, my freshman year of college, I would go after church. I'd go check on Aunt Mildred. So I'd come over to her house and we'd have coffee, and I'd make sure she's doing okay. And towards the end of my freshman year, she went, "Andy, I really appreciate you spending so much time with me. I got you a present." And she gave me a first edition copy of Mein Kampf, which we can assume she did because she appreciated that I was a history major.
Yes.
And she appreciated the historical value of it. But I still have it as a first edition. It's the first English translation of Mein Kampf. And what's really weird about it is it was written before, it was published in America before World War II. So the introduction is bizarre. It's who knows what young Hitler will do? Maybe he'll fight the communists. There is some disturbing things about the Jews, but American readers should know that Europeans are prone to such things and shouldn't read too much into it. It's bizarrely bullish on the guy.
No, there's a wide diversity of opinion on old Double H before the World War II popped off. He was a lot more thoughts than are admitted to these days, although not by brave Ann Mildred, who is dishing off copies of Kampf.
And who is not a whore, apparently.
Just not a whore. She's not Millie. Yeah. I mean, come on. You imagine Millie,
not a whore name.
Millie flouncing about with just, spreading her legs for each and every Tom, Dick, and Harry. No, Mildred, that's a foundational. That's a woman.
That's right.
I have a friend named Millie, and she's definitely not a whore. She's a person, a normal person.
Whores are people
Jen, just
too.
go ahead and
Hashtag
introduce me to your friend Millie, Jen. Just go ahead and make that introduction on my behalf, shall you?
Yeah. Do me a favor. Text Millie right now and ask her if she's a whore.
She's dead stupid. He already said that.
Oh.
No, you're Millie, not mine.
You're
Mine's
Millie.
Dead.
Yeah, Mildred is dead. Oh, my Millie?
Yeah.
I'm not involving her in this at all. She doesn't need to know this conversation ever happened.
Too late. I'm going to track her down and seduce her. You brought us on
Millie,
yourself.
I know I haven't talked to you in like 6 months, but my friends think your name is a whore name? Like, what are your thoughts? No, I'm not making that call.
I don't think it's a whore name. I'm just stress testing your hypothesis. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
That she's
Do you
normal?
think that your okay? Do you think that your Aunt Mildred would think that girls that went by Millie were whores?
No, my mom's family, like my grandmother, if she was playing canasta with ladies and they said anything negative about anybody that she knew, she would say, "I just don't feel comfortable gossiping about neighbors," and she would get up. So like that wing of the family didn't do backbiting at all. They were much better than me. Whereas I'm like, how can I turn this into funny content for strangers later? I have a very different mindset.
So Aunt Mildred might hate this conversation we're having about her publicly.
Possible. I hadn't really thought about that, but yes, it's possible that in the afterlife that she's keeping marks on my various failures.
Wait.
Primaries last night, Florida and Alaska. Just noting here that Florida's polls closed at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and all but one race, which is within 600 votes, were called by the AP by 9:55, under 3 hours to count all of the primary votes in Florida.
Florida
Modern
man's so
miracle.
proud.
Modern miracle.
So
wow.
proud.
Good
what
job,
a crazy
Florida.
thing. What a crazy thing to have happen. But Democratic Socialists will be running for Senate in the Sunshine State, defeating Alexander Vindman. So resistance won in the mud, the Ukrainian impeachment of Donald Trump, old hat. He still has $6 million in the bank because he didn't think that he was going to lose. Turns out he lost because
There's
he was
two
a carpetbagging
Vindmans.
no one. Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Was that so? The one that ran, he was the impeachment Vindman.
Impeachment
So what's
one,
the other
yeah.
Vindman?
He's also in the House. But,
Isn't he in Congress?
Yeah, he's in the House.
Oh, okay. I thought they were the same. I thought that
What happened to that guy that looked
Ukrainian
like a
guy
Sphinx
was
cat?
in our Congress. I didn't realize
They're
that.
both former Ukrainian, but Alexander Vindman was more front and center for the impeachment.
Yeah, because there was
Justin.
one of them that like testified
Yes,
in the
that's it.
impeachment.
And he
Okay.
moved to Florida for 5 seconds, tried to run for Senate, and now wasted a whole lot of money.
Oh, is this the seat where there was a bunch of like the what was his name? Chris Collins, I think, was running in it. He was the insider trading.
No. That's
There
in
was
the House.
one seat where
That's
there was
in the
a
House.
bunch of
That's
okay.
That's Byron Donald's old seat. A local disc jockey or radio owner won it over Madison Cawthorn and a litany of other lunatics who also don't live in Florida.
What happened to the guy that looked like a Sphinx cat? He was a governor for a while and a senator for a while, but I haven't heard anything about him in a bit.
Sphinx cat?
Charlie Crist?
That's it. Christ. What happened to that fella?
He actually won a primary last night, a nonpartisan primary for mayor of St. Pete. Former
Good for him.
Republican governor
Really?
of Florida, then became a Democrat, served in the House, ran for Senate unsuccessfully, and now is going to be mayor of St. Petersburg, Florida, on the West Coast.
Dedicated public servant.
And apparently a cat.
That's one way to put it. And then in Alaska, Mary Peltola and incumbent Senator Dan Sullivan have made the ballot for November there, along with another Dan Sullivan. Who knows how another Dan Sullivan was coaxed to run, but he also made the ballot because of Alaska's
I love that.
Alaska's kooky rules that they have a nonpartisan primary where the top 4 make it onto the final ballot. And so despite the fact that the other Dan Sullivan got 2% of the nonpartisan primary vote, this is what you technocratic fucking incels get us, is bullshit like this.
So
love
I
it.
think in a situation like that, each candidate should be required to pick one word following their name on the general ballot, like Dan Sullivan, incumbent, Dan Sullivan, moose hunter, or something like that. Like they
That's
should
two
get
words.
one word. Okay, well, but in Alaska, maybe it's one word. Maybe it's
hyphenated. Yeah, hyphenated. It might work. I think they should all be forced to wear luchador masks, and you'll only be able to tell them by their voice.
I like that.
Okay. These
Uh,
are great ideas, boys.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, that was the Vindman getting toppled by Nixon, who spent under $1 million. Either of them were really on television. Just an absolute stunning incompetence by
But like,
the
why would Vindman
Democratic
think that he
establishment.
would be a shoo-in for that seat? Because like, even in the impeachment, he was just a little narc. Like, I don't remember anyone celebrating Vindman. Is that a thing that happened that I don't recall?
I think if you watch MSNBC, where they treat that moment in history like it was Watergate and he was a part of it, then he probably had an inflated sense of self-worth. He probably had donors who were like, the Florida Democratic Party is a total mess. Fact check, true. You can just stroll on in here, pretend to own a place in Broward and get this nomination and all the money. He's got a fundraiser in Nantucket like next weekend because he wasn't even thinking about this primary.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what? This will be an interesting test case for the DSA because a lot of the time, like we've talked about this previously, the DSA primaries in a very, very, very strong Democratic district. And so whether or not the idea that the Democratic Party needs to go center or go more progressive is kind of difficult to ascertain in those cases. But with Florida, that's a whole state. So that'll be a very interesting test case.
She'll get boat raced by like 30 points because the Democrats aren't going to invest internationally. But, we'll see. The only other big thing is the Congressional Black Caucus, which has been a major power center in Democratic politics for my entire life, is now being kind of dissolved from both ends, both from DSA members that we've talked a lot about in deep blue districts where DSA people can win, but historically they have been black held seats. But now also in Florida, the newly redrawn map, instead of Debbie Wasserman Schultz taking her years and years of congressional service and calling it a day, she just slid on over to a majority black district and won that primary with 4 other black candidates to split the vote, including Luther Campbell from Two Live Crew and disgraced Congresswoman Shifless McCormick. But now, Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
Shifless McCormick was on the ballot?
She ran for her seat again, yeah.
What a fucking idiot
Shifless
that woman
McCormick sounds like an old-timey baseball player to me.
Or
and that's Shifless McCormick with a fly out to ride.
Exactly.
Yeah, she's problematic. She's the one that her family had because like her family owns a legitimate business. They were accidentally sent $5 million in COVID money.
Oh, right. We talked about that.
And then they basically like allegedly spent it on her campaign and a giant diamond ring.
Yeah, which she wore in her congressional portrait, just in case anybody was confused.
Yeah, so she runs again. The cluelessness of these people is mind-boggling.
I don't know if I would say clueless, power hungry, delusional. There's a lot of ways that I would go before clueless, but yeah, all run over by old Debbie Wasserman Schultz, about as establishment gets. She is so establishment. She was from like 3 establishments ago.
But and like, I'm sorry if I'm, asking you a stat you don't have, but if it was Debbie versus like the rest of those candidates, if they had chosen one, did Debbie still beat everybody else?
Probably. At least
Really?
even if you did the raw, like transformer, all of them into one, she still had more vote total. She's got a higher name recognition. She's got a solid voter base. Even redrawn, there's a lot of Broward County in that district. And so she just has the name value and nobody else did. Luther Campbell, Uncle Luke came in last, despite the fact that he wrote Scarred and Me So Horny and many other classics that have populated the dance halls to this day. Debbie
I'm trying
Wasserman
to get
Schultz never did.
I'm trying to get my buddy Gordon a lordship. That's what I was doing Friday. I was at a thing, and there was a member of the House of Lords there from the Borders who's about to retire, and I was like, who'd be a great guy in the peerage? Gordon over there. And like you could see a light bulb went off, and I was like, holy shit, maybe I can make this happen.
All right.
I think it's probably more likely that I can make that happen than any of my political ideas in America at this point. I got to take what I can get.
But are you a lord? Like, who are you to make someone a lord when you're not a lord?
I'm a fucking schmoozer, Jen. You know this. I'm the guy that's having 3 glasses of wine and talking to the rando, planning ideas behind the scenes like a combination of Talleyrand and Woody Guthrie.
Then make yourself the lord.
They won't make me a lord.
So what makes you think they're going to make your fucking rando friend Gordon a lord?
He's from the colonies, Jen.
Who, Gordon or Andrew?
Gordon.
Andrew.
He's a good sort.
He just said that Gordon is. They're both colonists.
Oh, they're both Americans?
No, Gordon. I'm in Scotland right now. Everybody I'm talking about Scottish, except for me. I'm from Oklahoma. I gave you a dossier.
All right. From Austin, Texas, I'm Justin Robert Young. From the shores of Malta,
I'm Jennifer Briney.
And from Edinburgh, Scotland,
I'm Andrew Heaton, not Lord.
We're not wrong. On this edition of the program, we will talk about Team Trump's sensitivity to Jon Ossoff making a joke about Natalie Harp. Also, a long read. We've had good luck discussing long reads here on the show. Another one from the New York Times on matchmakers, high dollar matchmakers in New York City, plus all of your emails about Albertan secession and so much more. We begin. Senator Jon Ossoff mocked President Trump at an Atlanta rally last weekend, saying Trump would rather golf, trade stocks, build his ballroom, and travel with assistant Natalie, referring to his body woman Natalie Harp, than do his job. The White House responded by the barrage of personal insults against Ossoff. My favorite was Stephen Chung calling him John Jackoff, which is just, very sophomoric. The New Republic, citing Semaphor's reporting, says that the intensity reflects internal discomfort over Harp's unusually close relationship with Trump. Some staff members are reportedly unnerved by her access and loyalty, while Trump becomes furious when personal questions draw national attention. Harp, a former One America News host, joined Trump's team in 2024 and has since become a nearly constant presence by his side. Mr. Andrew Heaton, Ossoff drawing Harp into the line of fire, fair or foul?
Yeah, I think it's fair. Like, I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions about this in a minute, Justin. But what I find funny about this is, like, I wish Ossoff were right. Like, if Trump really just wanted to redesign ballrooms and pal around with Natalie Harp, we wouldn't be bombing Iran at the moment. Like, that would be good. I would love it if Donald Trump really just wanted to concern himself with aesthetic projects. And, we lost Jen. Did I offend her?
Probably. Keep going.
Yeah, she's a big Natalie Harp fan. They went to college together. They played volleyball together.
Harpist, they call them.
Yeah, so I think that would be great if that were the case. It would be terrific if Trump were just concerning himself with the Washington Monument and the ballroom and stuff like that. That would be great. And so that's not happening. I think that it's kind of weird that this has turned into a big kerfuffle on a couple of counts. One, this is just kind of like, this is a kind of dumb, a dumb, low-level, nothing insult that is lobbed at every sitting president, which is the guy goes on vacation too much. This has been happening since George W. Bush. We've talked about this, where George W. Bush would go down to his ranch in Texas, and people would say he's not working.
They hammered Clinton on Nantucket, I believe, was his preferred vacation.
And you know what? Like, I always think it's stupid. The president is the president wherever he's located. It's not like they can't get a hold of the guy. The last time that actually happened, the very last time in American history where that happened was FDR was on a cavalcade going through Nevada. And for like 6 hours, no one in the American government knew where he was. Like, that's the last time anybody couldn't reach the president in all of American history. And then technically, Truman, after he got into office, needed to cash a check. So he just walked out of the Oval Office and went to a bank to cash it, and no one knew where he was, and that was a big deal. But even then, that was like 30 minutes. The president's the president wherever he is. So I think when people criticize the president for not working, that's always kind of a dumb criticism, particularly if you think what the president's working on is bad, as I do. So I thought that this was kind of a bizarrely weak argument to lob at Trump, but I also don't understand why Trump or the Republicans are remotely mad about it. Like, of the things that you could credibly put in Trump's lap, saying that he wants to build a ballroom and he hangs out with a staffer a lot, these are not impugning his competency or making charges of corruption. It's just a very, he's not working that hard kind of insult. You think you could brush it off. So I don't really know why everybody got mad about it. And I don't really know why everybody's that mad on behalf of Natalie Harp. She's a close intimate of the president. And I think if you're going to be that close to the president, there's going to be some amount of social collateral damage you're going to get by being emphatically in favor of him. Like, it's one thing if somebody voted for Trump and you're like, well, I disagreed with that person, but good and intelligent people can disagree on matters of substance, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you're working for Trump. Yeah. Like, if people get mad at you because you're like in the situation with them all the time, I think that's fair. So I don't understand how this turned into a big thing. I don't know why this is a thin-skinned issue for Trump or anybody in the White House. And I don't know why this was considered a remotely insidious attack in any capacity from the Democrats, given all the other stuff they have to work with.
I have many theories, but I believe the insinuation is that they're fucking and that she is she is an affair partner, and so that is the height of the frivolousness, that like the cherry on top of he doesn't want to do anything and he just golfs and he wants to build a ballroom and he's a frivolous president, is that he is also plugging this blondie.
Well, then two more thoughts on that based on that input. And I kind of picked up on that. Like, it was, first of all, it's a pretty tangential soft glove way of indicating an affair. Like, the article that you sent us did have the like comma who he's been spending a lot of time with, but it doesn't really go out of its way. Like, I know that there have been other affair hypotheses that have been floated the last couple of years. I don't remember the lady, but there was a thing about that. This seems to be pretty weak and tepid as far as accusations of infidelity go. And if they are, good for her. Have sex with him more, distract him more. She would be a national hero if she was able to just get him to like not do anything. Like, if he just hung out in the White House having sex with her all the time, she would be like 20 golf courses. She would be a national hero. So I don't get it.
Jen?
So I think the Republicans are upset about this because they are pearl clutching babies, and even though they sure can dish it, they have a lot of trouble taking it. So I think that it's just simply hypocrisy. It's typical with this crowd. So I think the reason this in particular pissed off Donald Trump, though, his reaction is kind of interesting. I mean, if you just look at Natalie Harp, she is a younger, hotter version of two of his ex-wives, looks just like them, like blonde hair, skinny, drop dead gorgeous. She's clearly smitten with him. The New York Times got a hold of a letter that she wrote to him.
Smitten would be an understatement. Yes.
Yeah. And like, she signs it off with all my heart, which is totally what you write to your boss. Like, that's like normal. She has been feeding him all of the lies that make him feel good. So even before she got this job, even before he was president again, she was one of the people on the air saying, yeah, he totally had the 2020 election stolen from him. Like, she runs around with a printer, just printing off stuff that he wants to hear, whether it's, true or not. So this woman is just clearly infatuated with him. I do know that there's been quite a few sources saying that it makes people around them uncomfortable, because I think this was just a matter of time that the country started speculating about what's going on between the two of them. So I think Ossoff hit a nerve that, I don't know, judged on Donald Trump's like harsh reaction, like I don't put it past Donald Trump to be doing this at all. I mean, he's cheated on all of his wives, and we know this, and this Natalie Harp girl is exactly his type. And the idea that like we're somehow being mean to her, like I shed no tears for the hurt feelings of members of this administration. Like they've been horrible to so many people that didn't deserve it, that I'm not going to feel bad for Natalie Harp or for Trump or for anyone. So I think that I don't know. I can't say that they're banging. Obviously, I don't know. I'm not around them. But if I find out that they are, I will be not surprised in the least. And I think it'll be one of the smaller of the Trump scandals. Like I'm far more concerned about the fact that like the fucking coach of the San Diego Padres is in some immigration prison right now. Like that is so much more concerning to me. And all of these people that have been locked in these places for the last year and a half, like those are the real Trump scandals. Is he fucking the hot chick that's following him around and seems to be in love with him? Like I struggle to even care. So, yeah, this is just, it's bread and circuses with this administration. I wish that we as a society would focus on more important things because, like, who cares?
So do you think it was a mistake for Ossoff to even bring it up, that he could have focused on more substantive things?
I mean, I think he is focusing on those substantive things, but I think the idea that he's getting attention.
This has gotten way more attention than,
and that's
than
on,
anything else he's saying.
Honestly, that's on all of us, that, like, the rumor that Trump is fucking a hot chick is getting more traction than the fact that, like, because based on your faces, the idea that the coach for it's the Padres, not the main team, but their one team.
The farm team?
No, and Justin, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's
Ancillary
like, minor
squadron.
league.
Farm team was correct, yes.
Regardless. Yeah, the fact that, like, that story is not getting the traction that this one is, like, that is because we like the scandalous stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Jon Ossoff did anything wrong. I think Donald Trump is doing stuff that's wrong all the time. I don't give a fuck if Jon Ossoff tells a joke about it. Who cares?
So yeah, some background on Natalie Harp, who, the one thing that I would
who also
push back
credits
on,
Trump with, like, curing her cancer, by the way. This is how big of a sycophant she is.
Yes.
Like, she's
yes.
nuts.
So yeah, no, I was just going to go through all that. So
although I'll say that bit's actually more credible than the 2020 election, though, because he actually did sign off on right to try legislation. Like, I'm going to say, like, it was after she got treatment.
I was just about to go through all this. Yeah. Jesus,
it wasn't
Christ.
The doctors. It wasn't the pharmaceutical companies. It was Donald Trump that cured her cancer.
Hey, Jen, far be it from me to take credit away from the private sector for saving lives when the government gets the fuck out of the way.
Oh, stop.
Can I set it up so people know what you're talking about before you start fucking bickering? Natalie Harp was a One American News anchor. She was a devotee to Donald Trump as a television personality on the fringes of that world. She did say that she had stage 2 bone cancer and that she credits the right to try legislation. Now, the timeline of exactly when Trump signed it and whether or not it was exactly because of Trump I don't think lines up personally. I think she just got effective care and thankfully has now survived bone cancer, but she did fall into Trump's orbit. Trump is somebody who very much prizes loyalty, and Natalie Harp is somebody that has loyalty like few in Trump world, to the point where she was mentioned in multiple different 2024 books, not in flattering ways, meaning that the people that were giving these authors all of the inside scoop on what the real story was during that campaign from inside Trump world did not like her. There were multiple chapters in different books about the human printer, as she was derisively referred to by the rest of the Trump staff, because, as Jed mentioned, her main job seems to be to keep Trump's Truth Social account active so he can tell her whatever he wants to say. She's the one that types it in there. She's the one that hits send. I would also hazard a guess that there's been these like tweet or truth bursts that have happened overnight where like 80 different memes will go out over the Truth Social thing that some on the left have kind of fixated on. My guess would be that's probably Natalie Harp and not Donald Trump hitting retruth over and over and over and over again, just based on how that kind of stuff works. But just to give you a sense of where she is in the orbit, she is single white female level devoted to the president of the United States. When she was tried to be steered away from staying in Bedminster because they said they didn't have any other rooms for her, she was like, fine, I'll sleep in the women's locker room, and did while Donald Trump was there. She was told she couldn't ride in the motorcade with Donald Trump. So she said, fine, I can be in the trunk if that's fine, as long as she is close enough to Trump.
I like trunk bitch as a nom de plume over human printer's pretty good. I like the human printer, and I see the role for a human printer, by the way. Trunk bitch is real
Maggie
good.
But Haberman calls her the human binky, which I think is great.
Yeah, the
Trump's binky.
The human printer is because he doesn't she can't just show him memes in the way that me or you would show each other memes on a phone. That is not how Trump operates. He needs a physical piece of paper. So when somebody prints out a thing, when somebody tweets a thing that Natalie Harp thinks is Trump's going to like, that's it. The reason why she was a part of the 24 coverage is because she was apparently where they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats stuff got to Trump. She was the one that that's the level of stuff that she brings to Trump's orbit. And so the campaign was like, look, as long as we keep talking about the economy and Biden, then we're going to sail here because the Democrats have injured themselves so greatly. And she was the one that kept handing oh, by the way, blah, 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 all these other crazy things, especially when things weren't going well. She was looked at as a liability. Now, is she fucking Trump? Michael Wolff, who I don't necessarily hold in the highest regard because I think he's a bit of a fabulist, he says, but he is not kind to Trump. He is not kind to his portrayal of Trump. So you would guess that his portrayal would be more salacious as opposed to less salacious. But Michael Wolff suggests that Donald Trump believes he is post-sex after 2024 and is not fucking anybody up to and including his wife. So we don't know, but whether or not it is in bounds for Jon Ossoff to say, I think is really about whether or not you think Jon Ossoff if his job is to be laser focused. I will say, I think the reason why the Trump world has seized on it is because they would like to talk about fucking anything other than the economy or Iran. It doesn't matter. If they can talk about the LA Lakers getting sold, they'll talk about that. They will talk anything that hits a trending topic that is not the things that they feel are bad for them. They look at it as a fouled off pitch. So now they're all going to white knight and be like, Natalie Harp, this is a great way to introduce and to encourage women to get into politics is to call them whores who fuck their bosses, blah, 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 blah. But literally, this is just to eat innings. They just don't want to talk about any of the things that are driving their numbers down. And if they can do this, which is a 50-50 thing, then they would rather do this.
That sounds right. Like I saw a thing the other day that JD Vance just kind of threw out there that it's not good that we're the international reserve currency. Yeah. And I was like, I gotta say, it's an interesting take. I would genuinely love to talk to him about that take, but I don't see a situation where that would make things cost less. Because he was basically the international reserve currency allows us to buy things too cheap. We're buying things too cheap. I'm like, all right, well, if we're buying things less cheap, that would make things more expensive, wouldn't it? Am I missing a step here? Justin, as you rightly point out, a big part of the 2024 campaign was look at all this inflation. Look at the price of eggs. Look at the price of stuff. Let's create a bunch of inflationary tariffs and then, debate getting rid of the international reserve currency and stuff like that. Yeah, that's not a very winning strategy at the moment. And then with the Iran bit.
Although I will say that was more of people blowing that up. That wasn't Vance's main point. Again,
it was an aside. To be fair, it was totally an aside. It was off the cuff.
He didn't do a speech saying the dissolution of the reserve currency. But then again, for Ossoff, I don't think he looked at this as the center point that was going to go viral. He's been doing these weekend campaign rallies that are shot like movies and are designed to go viral because he is running over his Senate opponent Collins in Georgia. And, now buzz is building for him in 28. So he has like crafted these events to be little viral capsules. And I would say he probably didn't do himself a great service because they've been kind of running away from it. They're like, we didn't say she's fucking the boss. And it's like, clearly that's what you were, insinuating. But I don't think he'll say it again. I'll guess that'll be my take.
If he actually wants to piss off Trump and he really wants to get under his skin, the thing to say is, I apologize for insinuating that he's having an affair. I don't think she's having an affair with him. And the rumors that I have heard, they're just rumors, is that he needs to have Viagra anyway, and that he's kind of past that. He's not virile anymore. So the idea that we would put this on
that he's clearly too old
man. Yeah, I can't think of anything that would piss off Trump more than that. So if he wanted to get under his skin, that's the thing to go.
He might.
I don't think that's the goal.
He might rail her in front of the press pool if that's the case.
Yeah, just to prove it. Maybe the goal isn't to get under Trump's skin. Maybe it's not Trump at all. Maybe he's running for re-election in Georgia and possibly running for president in 2028. Saw the reaction that the Democratic base had to Gavin Newsom, telling these kinds of on his Twitter account anyway. And Gavin Newsom, even in interviews and stuff, will go there when it comes to the Trump family, Trump's behavior, all the things. And the Democratic base seems to enjoy it. I don't hate it because I would like to see the Democratic Party in general fight these people. And so I think he might be doing it as a winning strategy as a candidate to show that he's not going to back down against these people, especially when they're like, oh, you're so mean to poor Natalie. It's like, fuck you. I kind of like that. That's the attitude we're seeing a little bit here. And of course, his PR people have to be like, oh, well, we didn't actually say that. But when the candidate gets up on stage and makes that joke, I don't hate it. So yeah, maybe he's appealing to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not me, but I'm a fuddy-duddy. When Gavin Newsom started doing all that stuff, I had a bunch of friends that were like, isn't it great now that we've got a guy that's a dickhead? And I'm
they're all horned up.
I don't want any more dickheads. I'm full up on dickheads for the rest of my life. I don't want any more.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, we don't need any more dickheads. Thank you. Vote
Yeah,
wig.
but I don't think it makes you a dickhead to mock the actions of horrible people. I think you have to mock these people. I think it's important to mock these people because you can't just keep giving them power. You can't keep being afraid of them. So to show that you're not afraid of them and mocking their actions and mocking their words, I think there's a role for that. And I like that we have at least a few people in power that are willing to play that role and aren't just going to keep pretending that we're in normal times with the normal politicians here. We're not. These people are absurd, and I like that some of them will call it out.
I see your point, and I'm going to invoke another pundit as a countermeasure, which is my good friend Jen Briney from 15 minutes ago, focusing on the shit that they're doing. I think that's a good place to be. Is we should be holding people to account, and I think we should be focusing on the substantive things. When we get into the kind of ephemeral name calling stuff, I do think it's bread and circuses. I'm with you on that. So I don't hate it. It's not something that is a top priority for me. It just doesn't resonate with me. I'm just this does not appeal to me.
I just don't think that Jon Ossoff did anything wrong telling one joke in a longer speech that I am positive did have substantive things in it.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying he did anything wrong. I'm just saying, if his strategy is to be a dickhead, that's not a winning strategy for me. It doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad guy. I think you can absolutely make fun of these people. I think that, Trump and everybody, they're very much gloves off. So it's not like I'm saying that him making these jokes is bad or unethical or anything like that.
I mean, you are calling him a dickhead. I don't know. That does make it seem like you think it's bad.
Yeah, no. Okay, let me paraphrase.
I think he was referring to Gavin Newsom as a dickhead.
Yeah, I think Gavin Newsom is a dickhead. I think you can justifiably be a dickhead to Trump. Trump calls names and says slanderous things, and I think you can do that to Trump. I think that you're morally justified in doing it. I'm just saying, for me, that's not something that I'm looking for in a guy that I'm going to vote for or a gal that I'm going to vote for. It doesn't preclude it. It doesn't mean that they're off limits to do such things. But I'm I would rather people be substantive and focus on important issues and vote for them based on that.
I guess the thing I like about it, because I'm kind of thinking about in a hearing, hopefully we're going to have some good hearings in the next Congress. And I really like it when people are in these hearings and will cut through the bullshit. And so I guess in a candidate, one of the reasons that I'm not against this type of talk is because there is a cutting through the bullshit here a little bit. Like, we're looking at this relationship with Donald Trump and the hot, somewhat secretary. It's weird. She worships him. We know he cheats on wives. His ex-wives look like her. Like, Ossoff kind of cut through the bullshit by kind of implying in public that like maybe they're fucking. Like, I don't dislike that in this moment, and I would like to see that more in Congress, because I'm watching these hearings with these monsters where they're like asking these very polite questions, and it's like they're lying to your face. Like, call them liars. Like, say the thing. And I think what I'm enjoying and other people are enjoying with Ossoff right now is he seems to just be saying the thing and maybe taking some heat for it, but like, fuck this heat. Like, it's dumb heat.
I'd like to speak to the Trump supporters that listen to the program for a minute. Hello, Lord Uncle Heaton here. I don't care if your president's fucking the blonde or not. I do care that he's jacked up prices for you and your friends, and that we're in 200 days of war with Iran. And those are the things that I care about. And I think, like as Justin pointed out earlier, I think those are the things Democrats would be well to do. I don't think it's bad. Like, all I'm saying is that the saying snide things on Twitter doesn't turn me on. It's a non-entity for me. I do think.
Well, I don't know that he is saying snide. Like, I think we're talking about a one-liner in a speech, right? Like, he also was saying the things about prices and but like.
Yeah, good.
He was focused, like the thing that you just said, he's been saying over and over again. Like, he said one line. I don't think it's the same.
Maybe I'm, you know what? It sounds like I've not made myself clear here. When I have friends that like and get energized by Gavin Newsom acting like Trump to Trump and view that as a good thing, I don't see that as a good thing. It doesn't preclude me from potentially voting for Gavin Newsom or whatever. I'm just saying, like, if the snide bit is the main thing, I don't find any appeal in it. I think the other things, holding people to account, are good. I'm in favor of that. Like, I don't know. It sounds like I've not made my point clear. And it's not a huge, like, I'm not saying like, oh, Ossoff, he shouldn't have said that. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying, like, in general, if the strategy for everybody is to be more of a dick, I don't know that will make politics more pleasant for me.
I guess I just don't find calling things for how they look. I don't think that that's all that dickish, especially considering what we're dealing with right now. I didn't see that clip and think like, oh, he's being a dick. It was like, oh, I've had questions about Natalie Harp too. Like, what is it with this chick? So I don't know. I think we have very different definitions of what is being a dick, because I don't think he's being a dick. And I certainly don't, like, especially with the target, he's punching up with both of these people. You're punching up. So I don't.
Let me try one more time. I think the winning strategy for Democrats is to go after the economy in Iran. I think that there's a reason, as Justin pointed out, that the Republicans would rather shift the Overton window of conversation to this particular lady and to social issues. And I hope the Democrats don't let the economy and Iran go, because I think that those are very strong things.
Patreon.com/wherenotwrong is where you need to go if you want to get a bonus episode of this show. And on this week's bonus episode, we are going to talk about... Oh, what are we going to talk about? I can't find it. Where are we?
We're talking about the drop in crime.
Yeah. 2025 had the biggest violent crime drop in 90 years. Why? Who gets credit? Should anybody get credit? Are we happy? Theoretically, it's something we should be happy about, or do we just not trust the numbers? We're going to chop it up here on the Patreon. According to a New York Times profile, Joseph Pascaretta, 38, has spent roughly $65,000 across 3 contracts with a high-end matchmaker at Agape Match, going on about 40 first dates and 22nd dates, but finding only one relationship that did not last. He's a successful, polished, and eager to marry, yet his demanding work schedule, height insecurities, and exacting checklist for women and fixation on instant chemistry complicate his search. His matchmaker argues that apps and social media have taught singles to expect unlimited options and mistake compromise for settling. The story's hard truth is that money can buy introduction, screening, and coaching, but cannot manufacture mutual attraction or persuade somebody who simply isn't interested. Jen, are matchmaking services like this worthwhile?
I mean, this is a tough one for me to take the lead on because I have been with the same guy for 22 years. But looking at this article when it comes to the matchmaker, because it was kind of interesting. They talk about the guy who hired the matchmaker, and then they also interview the matchmakers themselves, and like they're talking about how much harder their job is. I feel like it could work. Now, this might be because I come from a community where there's like a lot of Jewish people in it, and the Jewish mothers like to set up their sons with everyone. It's just like a known thing that they're always like matchmaking, and it fucking works sometimes. Like the moms know each other, they know the girls. Like, so I'm not against the idea of having a matchmaker, but matchmakers kind of have to know you, and this just feels like the app experience with a human in the middle of it. And it was incredibly expensive. This guy spent $65,000 getting these dates. And it's what I found fascinating. I actually took a screenshot of part of the article just to like, because what I'm noticing with the app thing, because I helped Andrew build a profile. So I've been on the apps through friends and stuff. It's almost like you're putting out a resume. And so this guy, he sent an Excel spreadsheet with all the things he's looking for in a woman, keeping in mind that this is a 37-year-old. He's like a big executive guy with a really gnarly work schedule. And it said that, oh, and by the way, he's short. So he's what, 5'6", I think it said. And so his spreadsheet, his must-haves, he wants an accomplished professional, ideally a doctor, lawyer, or executive, someone like me who has been heads down, career-focused, but is now ready for a serious relationship, someone who's never been married or is at least amicably divorced, someone shorter than him, someone between the ages of 25 and 43. He also detailed his strong preference for a woman who is, among other things, naturally pretty and stylish, loyal, classy, ambitious, elegant, feminine, emotionally stable, from a well-respected family, and who went to a top-tier school. Like, that is so narrowing. Like, there's no way in hell that he would ever get matched with me, even if we had a lot in common. And I just look at like my own successful relationship. Like, if I had done it the resume way, I would have had to have, like, for Joe to find me, he would have had to be looking for a drunk, fat woman who was making approximately $500 a month at a bar. Like, that's not the resume. And yet we're great. And I think it's because when I look at what this guy was looking for, it's almost like he's looking for a puzzle piece that's just going to fit these things that he thinks is missing in his life, where what Joe and I have is a partnership. We're constantly changing. After reading this, we discussed how we've changed, both of us, like 10 times, and we change together. Sometimes we change separately. Like, I think I talked online about when I quit drinking. It was kind of like, I'm making this change, whether you like it or not. You can either come with me or we're going to have problems. And then he decided to quit too for his own reasons. But like, I was just going to change, and that was going to affect him. And it just is what it is. And like, that's what happens. And so if you're looking for a puzzle piece and then you change a little bit, will that puzzle piece even fit? And so it was fascinating to me to read this, looking at what my own resume would be. No one would be looking for me. And so if this guy is looking for something like that specific, I think he's missing out on the person who might actually match his personality. Like, maybe he shouldn't be with someone who is as career driven as him, because who's going to raise this to the kids? You know, it's like and like being from a well-to-do family, like they might be from a family of fucking terrible people where there could be a waitress who's great for you, whose family you would love, who is loving and kind, and someone who would be okay with you working all the time so that they could stay home. Like, there's just so many different ways that a couple can make life work together. And so, yeah, the puzzle thing, that's what I think the matchmakers are trying to do. And I think it's what a lot of the apps are trying to do, is just like fit people as if they're puzzle pieces, but that we're so much more complicated than that. So, while I could see it working like it did in my home community, where, you know, two mothers who know their kids kind of do well, my kid does this, and my kid, you know what your kid is like, if your kid is clean or sloppy, like those types of things. And if there's two mothers that are doing the matchmaking, like that could work. But having a stranger be your matchmaker, I don't know, man, especially for 65 grand, it smells a little scammy to me. And I don't know how well it's going to work to find a real partner. I hope it works for people, but it's not something that if I ever lost Joe for whatever reason, I don't think that's a route I would want to go down. I think I would end up with a friend, honestly. I think.
Well,
yeah.
With all due respect, I do think that oftentimes the people shelling out $65,000 to find the match are usually dudes. Women. It's not to say that it's not hard, not to say that it's not a challenge to find somebody that you can match well with, but it is a different obstacle course than it is for the guys often.
Yeah. Well, and the article actually backs you up in that because these people had 15 clients, 14 of them were men. So
yes.
Yeah.
I will say, before we go to Heaton, I will speak for the single men in the audience that are listening saying, okay, awesome. So the advice is it just works. Like what say you to the Lonely Hearts Club out there?
I mean, I didn't say that it just works. What I'm saying is the resume doesn't match the person. Like I said, when I started dating my current husband, I was fat, I was wasted all the time, and I was making no money. No one is putting that on a list of things I'm looking for. And so I think if you're narrowing people down by all of these different characters, I was 215 pounds. So
there's an audience for that.
Regardless, my point is, by narrowing down and having this like resume for a person and just be like, oh, like doesn't have this thing, so you don't meet them, so you don't like, I think the narrowing down of people in that manner, like that guy is going to struggle to find the perfect person because he has all these different qualifications. He's like got this image of this perfect person that has all these like literal qualifications. Once a doctor or a lawyer from a family that goes to the Ivy League school, like there's so many people that are wonderful that don't have those things. And so my point in saying, like, even from my own experience is, had I been looking for someone like that, because honestly, like, Joe gave me permission to talk about him, but his resume wasn't great either. He was also a drunk and he was making $0 at the time. And like, he's a little shorter than I wanted him to be. Like, he's not perfect on paper. So I don't know if the matchmaker would have ever put us together, but because we weren't doing it this way, because we didn't have resumes in our heads, we gave each other a chance and it worked out great. So I'm just saying, like, the pool is bigger than I think you're going to get from these apps and these matchmakers, and maybe like expand the pool if you're using them.
Well, based on what you've said about you and Joe's accounting, either you could afford to hire the matchmaker anyway, so it would be a moot point.
We couldn't afford shit when we started drinking, or when we started dating. I was pulling change out of people's couches so I could go to 7-Eleven for booze. You could have
hired like a carnival gypsy to like do some kind of card pulls to get somebody from the rest of the circus. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So what, it was like $20,000 a pop on these contracts that then get re-upped. If I were to tell you that here is the routing information for a bank account with $20,000, you can use it for whatever you want, would you use it on a high-end matchmaking service like this?
I might, and I might do it in the future. I think that the possibility that it's a scam is a very, very prudent point that Jen brings up, that just saying that the service costs a lot does not necessarily mean that it's going to deliver, and that is well worth considering when looking at things. So I'll back up this. I am simultaneously the best and worst person on our panel to talk about this because I am the only unmarried person. I clearly have some issues that I am working through on my end, but as a result, I'm also in this world. So I've got lots of thoughts on it that are born from experience, therapy, and now a series of accruing books that I have at home. In terms of the money, Justin, if I were very confident that $20,000 would actually result in, like, that's it, like that, like this will result in me finding wife. I
can hold your money in abeyance. I can just not pay you out for a couple months, and we can just put that in a bank account. I'll garnish your wages.
I've thought about hiring a matchmaker. Like, I mean, I think the next big step for me is like rooting in a particular location and dedicating myself to building a life in a community there. I think that's step one. But step two, like, I might hire a matchmaker. And I see a couple of values to it even outside of that. The only person that I know that's used one of these services is a lady. She's in Dallas, but I used to work with her in New York and knew her at the time. And I don't think she was paying this much, although I think it was significantly higher than like a monthly fee on Hinge or whatever. I mean, I think she was paying in the thousands for a matchmaking service. She didn't end up marrying anybody through it, but she did get married within maybe 5 months of using the service. And I think part of the benefit to these things is particularly if you're on the older end of the dating spectrum, as I am and she was at the time, it's kind of a way of signaling to yourself, I'm done fucking around. I think it's very easy with dating apps to treat it like a candy store that you never leave. It's very easy to, particularly in New York, because New York is this massive throng of very attractive, very impressive people that are constantly entering the city and moving through. It's very easy to just stay in the store and never make a purchase. And, you're working on your career, you're working on life, and maybe you go on Hinge or Tinder or whatever. And you're like, well, if something really hits me, I'm open to it, but I'm not really going to put in a lot of effort. For somebody that drops, $10,000-$20,000, they're saying like, no, I'm fucking wanting to do this. And I think that alone is probably worth something, in that it means that they are really going to prioritize that in their own life. And it's going to cause them to approach that search very differently than just let's give it a shot. So I could see some benefits to that. I feel for the guy in the article, by the way, and I think that I was wondering
how you judged him, like whether or not you found him to be a sympathetic or a non-sympathetic figure.
Very sympathetic. I sympathize with a lot of the problems that he has, which, by the way, are his own. I don't think that any of the things that were mentioned in the article are external forces that preclude him from having a serious relationship. And I'm now old enough to know that the hurdles and hindrances that I've had in my life have been self-induced. It's not some circumstantial problem, nor is it some sort of conspiracy. It's all internal character flaws, psychological avoidance, neuroticism, things like that. And I see that in him. One of the things that I see in that guy that I think a lot of us have a problem with, but I particularly see it in that particular individual, is he's applying what is in so many other categories of life a very winsome framework, which is he's trying to optimize. And that's great if you work in finance, or you work in agriculture, or you're trying to maximize the usage of your home, or what. There's all these things in life where being really good at being able to maximize things and being able to optimize everything is a really good thing. I think dating apps make us do that in romance. And what's the German phrase? It's like zu früh alt, zu spät gescheit. Too soon old, too late wise. I think, Jen, you were over there. Did you pick up on any German aphorisms while you were over there?
No, sorry.
Zu früh alt, zu spät gescheit. I think, the optimizing thing probably isn't something that actually works well for romance. It feels intuitive for so many other things, particularly if you're a ambitious, striving individual that is in a difficult career and you're really working at it. It feels very normal to try to optimize things, but I don't think that romance probably works that way. I don't think partnership probably works that way. It's less about optimization. It's more about authorship. Like, I realize that this is a paltry analogy for the unions that both of you are enjoying, but in a very minimal capacity. Like, Wallace is not the optimal dog for me. I didn't get the dog that is, the maximum joy of dog I could have got. I should have got a tiny dog I can travel with. I still really love Wallace. I'm really glad that I got Wallace. And had I waited to get a dog until I got an optimal dog, I would have missed out on 5 years of really having an awesome canine companion. I think this particular individual is trying to optimize to his own demise. He's trying to squeeze the absolute best possible mate out of this scenario. And in the process, he is not availing himself to building anything with anybody. And I recognize that tendency in me. So I hope he does it. From your all's perspective, I mean, I really don't want to go too much into my own psychology, but I'm sure you all have watched me the last couple of years and been like, God damn it, if Heaton would just turn this couple of switches off, he could really he could be fine. So I see that in there. So yeah, in synopsis, I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with these matchmaking services. I think they're probably a good idea for people that are older that are making a lot of money, because it both compels them to really put their time and effort where their money is, and know that it's something that they really want to do. And I think a lot of the problem that's coming out of all of this is we don't really have good mental models as a society for how to get married. Jen, you've been married 22 years?
Well, I've been with Joe for 22 years. We've been married for 15 and a half.
That's wonderful. And I'm obviously very happy for you. I think a lot of people are able to find that click and it works and they go for it, particularly when they're in their 20s. When you're in your 30s and your 40s, it becomes a little bit harder, and there's different models that people are working with. We have the Disney model, which is kind of alluded to in this particular piece, where they talk about sparks, right? The other guy would go out on dates, but he wouldn't feel the spark or whatever. I'm kind of at the point where I'm maybe the spark's bullshit. Maybe that's not a real thing. Maybe some people are just charming and pretty, or charming and handsome, and they can induce a spark in anybody, but it doesn't necessarily correlate with partnership. Maybe the spark develops later. Maybe it's more like embers, but a lot of people have that lightning bolt. I will be struck by lightning and fall in love mentality. I think I've had that for a long time. I don't really think it's efficacious. There's another model, which is just be practical, and find somebody that lives in your block that, they're Presbyterian or whatever, you make it work. And it goes from there. The model that a therapist gave me here a few months ago was that you need to have non-negotiables and everything else is up for grabs. So figure out what you really, really care about. And I think that's something that people in their 20s and 30s struggle with, because you don't know. And so you think, the person doesn't like the Mets, and I'm for the farm team that got the guy deported that Jen alluded to earlier. That'll never work. And I don't know, now that I'm 40, or 42, I'm a lot of the shit that I used to care about, really, it would be a perk, but it's really not that important. And being able to isolate the things that are actual, no, this is a non-negotiable, the other things we can work with. It sounds like that guy had a pretty long list of things, and I don't think that those were really non-negotiables. That was more of a wish list wouldn't it be great if she came from a good family and went to an Ivy League school? Jen, I'm with you on this. That
he went to fucking Michigan.
Did he?
He went to Harvard.
It's I want to say it was
Go
a little
blue,
bit
by
soupy,
the way.
but
No slag on
I
Michigan.
I had a relationship with somebody that didn't graduate from college, and was a really smart, fun person. That really wasn't a huge deal, right? So anyway, I wish him best. I hope that all of these people, male and female and whatever, are able to find love. And I think that the matchmaking services could be salutary, but you'd have to balance that against the chance that they are just bilking you for money.
So I have experience in this, in that there is a class of friends of mine that are around my age, single, I think good-hearted, smart dudes that for one reason or another, haven't found somebody. And I've been through when they found people, I've been through when they've settled down with people, and I've been through when it hasn't worked. And I've got many, many, many thoughts that could probably span longer than we have here in this segment. What I will say is that I'm sympathetic to the idea of somebody getting a matchmaker, in that, like Keaton said, it at least sets you as a designated target. I am looking for a long-term relationship, and I am spending the money to try and make that happen. That's good, because at least it takes you out of the mindset of, hey, I'm just trying to fucking run, or I haven't committed to the idea that this is something that I want. Good on that side. But I do think that it highlights a problem that, if I might diagnose modern dating as a man who has not been dating for nearly 2 decades, there was a line in this that drove me up a wall. The idea that you would go on a date with somebody and you would say, I'm sorry, I just didn't feel that romantic spark.
Yeah.
I would rather be told if I went out on a date somebody that you're an ugly, smelly piece of shit, and I'd prefer that you never come around me anymore than to be told, I'm sorry I didn't feel that romantic spark. Like, it is, to me at least, dating is not healthy if it's healthy. You shouldn't say, well, you're a nice guy, blah, blah, blah. No. You run into walls until one of them is a false wall and you have paradise. That's it. That's the only way that this works. That is our biological imperative is try, and then it succeeds. Now, once you get into the idea of what do you want in a mate, I do think that it is the burden of a certain kind of brain. And I would say Heaton, I feel safe saying this because we're having this conversation. Heaton already went through most of this, but Heaton's one of them that does think there is an analytical case for this. When in reality, for my money, the thing that I will tell anybody who's in a relationship is the relationships that are going to last and the ones that aren't going to based on one, and I mean one category. Is it easy? When you wake up every day, is it easy to spend time with them? Is it easy to be in a relationship with them? Is it easy for you to not think about wanting to make them happy? And are they not thinking about making you happy? Because if it's not hard, then any effort you put in winds up getting returned 4 or 5-fold. And that really, to me, if you want to get into the X's and O's of biology and pheromones and everything, that's where you get the virtuous circle. And I don't think that any of that, you don't ever get to the idea of, is this easy with, I'm sorry I didn't feel the romantic spark. Because I'll tell you what, with my wife, we had a very odd meet cute at a convention. So it's like that was a little bit of an odd situation. But we wound up putting our relationship through a bit of a ringer of a long distance thing where we weren't in the same place for a while. And that was our tempest for which we found that we were meant to be together. But there's a million other relationships that don't start romantically, that start because they're friends and it's easy to be around somebody. I know for a fact that, like, especially with women, men to me, and this is, I'm going to get real fucking men are from Mars, women are from Venus on this, but like men to me have a broad idea of what they find attractive. And if they can hone in on somebody who returns that to them, then that's really kind of what they want on an animal level. Women tend to value things that are beyond the physical because that is what they value on a different level. So if you initially make a bad impression and then wind up demonstrating repeatable things that change the opinion, then I've seen that a million times where people have started off as friends and then wound up becoming successful couples and have had kids and have been married forever. None of that is benefited from the idea of you have 4 dates scheduled this week and it is socially normal to say, I'm sorry, I didn't feel that romantic spark. Like that I do think is harmful, at least for me. But if I'm not a matchmaker, so I don't know, how else you're supposed to handle that if that's just the way that everybody does things.
A good deal of the literature that I have read over the last 2 years would back you up on that. I'll give a bibliography at the end of this segment for anybody that is likewise in the boat. But a couple of the things that I've picked up on are, one, and I know Justin and I have had many conversations about this since Justin and Jen both get the drunk Heaton woe is me stick quite a lot. But one of the things
and the sober
and the sober neuroticism. You get the drunk doom spirals and the over caffeinated neurological upward spirals. They're both super fun for everybody involved. Neurotic spirals. So one of the things I have a tendency to do, and I think that this is because I am both fairly high on the neurotic scale and also like just being kind of intelligent and guy that plans and schedules and things, I tend to jump really far ahead, which is not helpful. And I'm aware of this. So like I will like go on a date and be like, can I see myself having grandchildren with this person? It's like that is not a helpful position to be in. What the books that I've read have said is that like really the first date, all you're trying to determine is if you want to go on a second date. That's it. That's all the pressure that you're doing is do I enjoy this person well enough to go get ice cream with them next week? That's all you're determining. And then you kind of keep doing that. But again, that kind of optimization thing that a lot of us suffer from. And like, I think that for those of us that are in our late 30s, early 40s, we've gotten into the habit of doing that in so many other fields in life that it's difficult to relinquish that kind of like hyper planning optimization thing, which serves us well in our career and other things. But that's something I picked up. And another thing is like there's a book that I read. It is cheekily entitled, and it is self-aware of the humor in the title, How to Not Die Alone, which for anybody who is listening to this and is more in my camp than Jen and Justin's camp, I commend the book to you. It's very, very good, and it's very practical. It doesn't have a lot of fluffy bullshit in it, which I tend to dislike when I read such books. But one of the things it points out is that the spark is bullshit, and very much what Justin is talking about. The idea that the notion of a spark is something that is very ephemeral, and that it is not necessarily a good indicator of actual long-term partner compatibility. And it might be that the spark is there for a bad reason. It might be that it's there just because the person's hot, not because they're a particularly congruent personality type. It might just be that they're just a very charming extrovert, and everybody sparks with them. That might be it, right? And so it indicated that is something that you shouldn't prioritize a whole lot. You should think more about like, what are the things that I really care about and value? Does this person have them? And it might be physical attraction. Am I physically attracted to this person and all of that? And if that works, keep going. See if you want to do the second date and so forth. I'll let you know when I get to the third date. All I know is the first two so far.
I think you've found a few third dates.
Yeah.
The fifth date's the problem.
Yeah. I'll be interested the feedback on this one, because I would like to know whether or not, if they had the money, would they take advantage of a program like this? Specifically the dudes. I would like to know the dudes' answer to that. We're Not Wrong Pod at gmail.com, where you need to go if you want to write about this show. The Kennedy Trifecta wrote in. This is not an email about an email. I'm just catching up on WNR episodes. I love the topic and the love you guys show each other even when you fight. Despite your differences on opinions on such topics, you three embody Kennedy aspects. And this inevitably leads to contention. Justin looks at things and asks, why? Jen looks at things that never were and asks, why not? And Andrew is a pussy hat. So 3 things that are core to the Kennedy identity.
You know, I used to think of myself as the brains of this operation, but I will be the penis.
Yes, the raging, turgid libido of the WNR empire.
The tumescent Andrew Heaton component of the Kennedy trifecta.
Andy Ramrod Heaton, here at your service.
Nice.
Is Danielle Smith about to break up Canada was our topic. California Secession Solidarity writes, California is like Alberta. We make all the money and give it to the Republican governed states that hate us. I say we should leave the union. 3 American History Connections writes, to tie 3 different points with American history. Number 1, complaints about distant bureaucracy being the motivation for separatists is what the progressive era was motivated by. Number 2, the private sector providing loopholes for the state to violate the U.S. Constitution's restriction on the government from invasion of privacy. And number 3, Heaton mentioned that in Maltese political parties, they own bars and restaurants as if that was unique. In New York City, the Democracy Party of New York County used to own a building that was a gathering square and bar called Tammany Hall. Tammany Hall still stands on the corner of Union Square and 17th Street. I've actually been there for an election night watch party for a candidate that I work for and was shocked to discover its existence. On the other side, the Ridgewood Democratic Club still owns its own building at 7060 Putnam Avenue and has been operating as a gathering place, social club, and bar since 1908.
I'm guessing I know who this person is, and if it's who I think it is, we should get a drink there next time I'm in New York. I think we've never met in person, and it'd be fun, and I'd enjoy the historical element of it.
Which party's bar do you think would be the most fun?
Which one?
Which party's bar?
Oh, depends.
Which party? Are we talking
Depends on the
state
circumstance.
or city?
Like national party.
Oh, national party.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
we've
can't go
been
down
to
all
the
50
conventions.
states.
Like, we know baseline. I
mean, I
guess
know
it
what
would
my
depend on
answer
the
is.
favor of where everybody was at.
Vibes are a big part of this. I got to say, vibes are a big part of this.
At the conventions, the Republican Party, I would rather go to that bar than the Democratic one. The Democratic one was a little weird and manic for me, vibe-wise. The Republican one was a little bit more swaggery and shots on me, at least in that moment in 24.
2024. I gotta say the Republican Party was having more fun than the Democratic Party was. Or there were a couple of moments where I was in Austin, like right when I first moved there. It was kind of figuring out the landscape, and it was like back in the 90s, the Republicans were really uptight. They were the ones that were getting freaked out about The Simpsons, and now they're the ones that have let loose and are having a drink. And I say this as somebody that feels most at home with the Abundance Democrats, by the way. I think probably the most fun crowd would be the communists or the DSA, because I feel like that would be all the really creative people that want to, allocate drinks by finger painting or some shit, but they'd be lots of fun to hang out with.
They'd have the best art for sure. I think the Democrats would have the best music, but based on my experience, the Republicans are where you're going to find the beer pong, and they're just more fun right now, which is kind of funny because it's like if you think about the Republicans that are in Congress 10 years ago, they were business dorks, and I would never say that their party is fun. And I'm talking just about the party. We're not talking about their politics, any of that shit. But I do have to say that the MAGA Republicans, they're a bunch of really fun ding-dongs. They had a lot of fun at their bar.
I would say probably in my Yelp review for both bars would be too many arguments about Jews. I would say that right now both parties are too obsessed with Jews. Alberta has no rats, writes. Did you know that there are no rats in Alberta?
God, St. Patrick really was a busy dude. Thanks, St. Patrick.
Is that a joke that I'm missing?
Yeah, because the legend is that St. Patrick drove out all the snakes from Ireland.
Yeah.
So I was making a joke that he also drove out the rats from Alberta, but it's okay.
I mean, there are places without squirrels. Like when Australians come to America, they are blown away by the concept of a squirrel.
Really?
Huh. Yeah. They ain't got them over there.
Australians have the craziest wildlife, and they think squirrels are interesting.
Yeah, they're like, what the fuck is going on with this
thing? They're probably enamored that we have animals
over there.
We have animals that aren't incredibly deadly.
Yeah, right.
Everything is deadly in Australia. And they're like, what kind of poison's that? We're like, it's just a squirrel. So neurotoxin. You're like, nope. If it bites you, you might get rabies, but probably nothing happens. And they're like, that's amazing.
Yeah, they have spiders the size of dinner plates, and they're looking at Chippendale like it's something that matters.
Well, and it's the tiny things that kill you over there. That's the thing you got to worry about, is shit that gets into your boot while you're asleep.
Like a scorpion?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the same thing here in Texas. You gotta bang out your shoes in certain areas out in hill country because little critters crawl in there.
Why I leave every summer. Once I saw the 6-foot rattlesnake in front of HEB in downtown Austin, I was like, I need to fucking leave.
Yeah, you know
not
when
normal.
I came and stayed in DC for a month before I moved out there. So I was just staying at my friend Austin's place in my camper with my dog, but I was using that as my port of call. I was there for a month. And Austin was like, by the way, sorry if you come into the kitchen, we've got ants. And I was like, I hate fire ants. And he's like, no, they're not fire ants. And I was like, what do they do? And he's like, they steal sugar. And I was like, that's it? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, what about snakes? He's like, we don't have snakes here. I'm like, how hot does it get? 90s. I was like, this is easy mode. You guys have easy mode on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Lincoln the Secessionist writes, when Heaton was explaining he was sympathetic to Alberta citizens voting to leave Canada if they want, along with other populations, I recalled that he's the same man who reenacted Abraham Lincoln and has done a pub crawl with other Lincoln reenactors. Even though I support Heaton's position, I immediately started to imagine a half-drunk Heaton dressed as Lincoln starting to argue with other inebriated Lincolns at the end of the pub crawl when he blurts out, As shitty as the Confederacy might have been, they had every right to leave.
Kudos to you for remembering one of Heaton's many colorful drunk anecdotes. That's one of my favorites, is the Lincoln with drink and pub crawl. Lincoln was interesting in this regard, by the way, when it came to secession. Like, Lincoln's position was that revolutions and secession can be morally justified or even necessary, but they are always illegal. So his position was no government ever builds into its bylaws a means by which to dissolve it. So it is always an illegal act. Like the American Revolution, which he was in favor of, was nonetheless an illegal act until it was actually completed. And I would add a little bit to that, in that I am a very big fan of self-determination, and for that reason support Alberta, Quebec, California, or Texas, or Puerto Rico, or anybody else, in terms of whether they want to leave or reconfigure or whatever. But that self-determination becomes less and less potent as a concept when you limit the amount of selves that are involved in the determination. So presently, if Alberta or California wanted to leave their respective unions, all voters, everybody that's an adult, can vote on that. And I think it has a lot of moral weight to it. Whereas when you go to the Confederacy, we're talking about only men, and also they own people, like a third of the population, a quarter to half, I don't remember the numbers, were property. So when you say like that's self-determination, I'm like, was it? Like it like legally speaking, yes, but it didn't really have self-determination in the sense that we have it now. So I'm going to give Lincoln some room for ending slavery and preserving the Union.
A game of chicken with Ottawa writes, I think part of the Albertan referendum would be in part a game of chicken, daring the central government to buy them off in a way that they bought off the Quebecois. Maybe get some more restrictions as to what central government can culturally impose on them. Again, similar to Quebec.
I think that's probably what's going to happen. I think they'll probably, like that was sort of alluded to in the article we read last week, that the prime minister is like, hey, well, what if we get you a pipeline? How about that then? So yeah, that'll probably something like that will occur.
Actually, update on that. Apparently, according at least to Truth Social, take it for what it is, but Trump teased today that a deal to revive the Keystone XL pipeline was struck with Canada. So maybe that does feed into our conversation. The LA mayor calling for ending flock cameras was our second topic. We are the 71% writes. Flock cameras misread license plates 71% of the time.
Good to know. That would be one more data point against them.
What if the public built the surveillance network, writes? I thought the discussion on flock cameras potentially rising to an invasion of privacy due to the number was interesting. Would anyone's opinion change if, rather than using large numbers of security cameras, the surveillance network was created by large numbers from the public using an app on their phone, and hypothetically, this network of phone data was used to surveil specific people based on their profession to and from work to allow people to preemptively block them on the road while they do their job during the day?
That's the ICE app?
About flock cameras.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't put two and two together on that, but yeah, makes sense.
My
old HOA. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, I was going to say, I think it's an interesting position, listener. It seems to be getting back to the kind of the crux of it from a legal perspective for me, which is at some point, does the quantity of cameras alter the qualitative nature of the surveillance? And it sounds like you're doing it from a private sector angle, which is an interesting position. But it would get me back to kind of where we started, just from private rather than public.
What is this guy called? The HOA that quit Flock writes, my old HOA in Southwest Austin installed Flock cameras after car break-ins, but we didn't renew the contract. Privacy was part of it, but it was mainly because they were useless. Only a couple incidents, and the police never did anything with the footage. Best case, they got a license plate, and if it wasn't intentionally obscured with no proof of actually doing a crime, giving up our privacy and $5,000 a year for nothing didn't really sit well with us. Funny side note, The neighborhood is a few miles from Modern Rogue headquarters and has one of the few homes for sale in the area when Justin was documenting his move to Austin on PX3. It went under contract and closed the same weekend as his did. I was excited Justin was moving to my street and then was disappointed when a nice family from Houston moved in instead. That's amazing. I did not know that I was unintentionally raising the hopes of somebody that I was going to move onto their block. That would have been awesome. Actually, I don't know. I don't know if it would have been awesome. Maybe it would have been awful that somebody actually knew who I was. I like having a little bit of anonymity here on my block.
What I like about that particular email, and I don't know if they did it intentionally for humorous intent or it's an accidental thing, but the phrasing "a nice family from Houston moved in instead" sort of implies that instead of Justin, a nice family moved in, which I like.
Yeah, true. Exactly. Aside from my rowdy brood. We're Not Wrong is a production of Dog and Pony Show Audio. Our editor is Will Saddleberg. Jen, can you hear us now?
I can. I think there's a party going on the roof because I can hear like music. So I think there's a bunch of people up there like crushing our internet network. So I'm sorry for all the dropouts. I guess I can hear you.
What's sizzling on the dish?
I
Real
just
quick,
released an
goddamn
episode.
Maltese roof parties. Every fucking time you hear about Malta, it's a bunch of fuckers on a roof throwing a party. Like that is the stereotype that we all know about. Maltese people love fucking partying on roofs, and they always have.
I mean, this is the first time I've heard it at my hotel, but every single night, this place is wild. So we're staying in an area called St. Julian's. If you like Bourbon Street, you would like it here. If you want something more mellow, go literally anywhere else on this island. But like we are in the middle of fuckboy central, so I'm not surprised that I'm hearing this. But it's the first time it's happened at my hotel. There's actually a bar right here that every time I walk by, it's been playing like a song I really love. And so yesterday I was walking back. I went on an adventure by myself. And so I just like popped in there and I was like, I'm old. I'm wearing a hat with a wiener dog on it. Like I'm gross. Like everyone's just going to leave me alone. I can dance by myself. Half a song. And I just got like hunted by a bunch of little fuckboys. I think they were from Britain. So I just like, walked right out, went home. It was unfortunate. Anyway, Congressional Dish, National Weather Service. This episode was mainly about one hearing about the National Weather Service. We examined what the Trump administration did to it because they did some damage. Some of the damage has been partially repaired, and then they have plans for the future as well. So if you're someone who cares about your weather forecasts, this is one that you will probably want to listen to.
Heaton, the orphanage.
I think I alluded to this on the bonus episode last week, but I've on Louis Ballard to talk about the Save Our Bacon Act, which was language that failed to pass the House and was surreptitiously slipped into the House's version of the Farm Bill. It is something which I find particularly irritating because it is an attempt to subvert states' rights and federalism in order for a conglomerate to push through legislation that would like basically stop animal cruelty laws. So if you like animals or states' rights, this is one that will boil your blood on the political orphanage this week.
On PX3, we welcome Brian Brushwood to talk about the taxonomy of Texas, because this Senate race that is happening between James Tallarico and Ken Paxton, in my opinion, happens to also be about two very defined caricatures of how Texas views itself. The corrupt Dallas blowhard and the soy boy Austinite. These are well-worn tropes within the state, and I wanted to do my best to kind of explain the roots of that, as well as how people throughout the state tend to react to these two archetypes. And so it is largely non-political. It is more about how Texas sees itself and the various fiefdoms within it. And then on Friday, something I do every 2 years, I debut my 3 scenarios as to what will happen in the midterms. It will be what every person who comes on the show will have to pick one of those 3 scenarios that are going to happen at the end of election night this year. Find out what they are. And our first picker, Kirk Beto. That will be on Friday's edition of the program. But
are these the scenarios that I get to like break with things when they don't happen?
Yeah, when we do our election special, they are the scenarios that will be shattered as they become unfeasible. And what I want to do is have everybody's guess on them. So when we break them, we are also breaking everybody's prediction that picked that one thing. I want to personalize it for people a little bit more.
Are you going to make Andrew and I guess? Is that in our
If you
future?
come on the show, if I let you on the show.
Ooh.
We'll see. But that's it for us today. Till next time. Andrew Heaton, Jen Briney. I'm Justin Robert Young saying we're not wrong. That plucked harp is. Get it? Like a string instrument?
Yeah, I got it. Because he's stupider.
Dog and Pony Show audio.